Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we rejoin our Solo Classic Traveller campaign. It is day 5, sorry. We are in the Taro Spaceport. We have had our first patron encounter. We haven't actually had the interaction yet, but we've been building up the patron's details. The purpose of this episode will be to complete the mission design, and also I think at this juncture I want to introduce the the coming together of all the strands that we have been developing over the past few months, from world building, etc., and almost illustrate to you how I can bring them together, and come up with basically quite a tailored overall mission arc that takes in all those factors, so that all those elements that we've been laboring over, I can bring them in and they have a relevance. So it will make you feel that we have not wasted any precious time with all the interactions that we've had, all the NPCs that we've met, all the potential situations that we have looked at. So the first thing I want to do is I have a bit of a summary, which I call mission structure. And what I'm saying is that we have now reached the stage in the campaign of where we want to bring together and utilize all of the elements generated in the previous steps we performed in terms of world building, adventure points, individual NPCs, situations, and the patron searching outcomes. And I'm going to try to demonstrate how the statements generated in the mission generation, and that was basically our rough worksheet here, where I generated some of the parameters of the mission, who the patron was, what his details were. I'm going to use that and to link to some of the elements that we have already designed, or come across, or encountered during our Taro world creation process. And we're also going to use this mission as a vehicle to construct a multi-episode story arc, which will cover our Traveller RPG features. So that's everything included in this amazing rulebook, the Traveller book, and provide discrete adventure sessions, which will involve our characters and reveal further layers of the campaign. So I'm going to use this mission that we've basically this raw sheet of paper is going to turn into a multi-episode story arc. That is the challenge, and I'm going to by basically fertilizing all this information with the data that we've already captured from our world creation process, our character creation process, the Dragon Hotel, all the situations. I'm going to mold what I call my multi-session story arc. And each adventure session will hopefully be able to encapsulate part of that story arc. And my central conceit is that you probably already guessed. I've been hinting towards this. There is a conspiracy developing on Taro, which is linking all the shadowy forces we have so far identified in a subtle web of intrigue. So whoa, this is the conspiracy going on. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're in for an absolute treat in this one. The specific mission has produced a terrorist who is actually a militant environmental activist, who has inadvertently discovered some sensitive information about the Taro Corporation and its dark secret, the Python Division. So this guy this Jakev Zapol, we came up with terrorist as his patron name. I've decided that I'm going to make him into an environmentalist, an eco-warrior who's got a bit militant and has that, I suppose, has the tag of terrorist to the authorities. The specific mission, skip on. No one party has a full overview of this conspiracy, apart from a shadowy puppet master. So as solo gamers, we don't know the identity at this stage, and this introduces a degree of mystery for us to experience as the plot develops. So I am going to craft, hopefully, a story arc, but I want to keep some of the options basically undesigned, and basically they're going to evolve organically as we proceed through the mission. And I don't want all the answers already. I want to have a bit of almost a sense of discovery myself. And I don't know who this shadowy puppet master is just now, so that is quite intriguing for me. Maybe have some ideas in my head, but I haven't really committed it to paper. Just on a kind of global basis, the Imperium has been alerted and is deploying agents in various capacities to ascertain the extent of the conspiracy and the threat it poses to Imperial interests. So the Imperium is aware that something's going on. It doesn't quite know the extent and whether it poses a threat to its interests in the on the planet, and I suppose ultimately potentially in the subsector itself. My final paragraph and my get out. We don't need to deal with everything just now, and the story will develop as the campaign progresses, and it's interesting to see what twists and turns it produces. So as I said before, I don't want everything pre-designed. I want to evolve. I'm going to use an overall kind of quite a hands-on approach now, and basically each session will have an objective to move the story on, but I'm certainly going to have enough random features in it to produce some surprises and some divergences and all that good stuff that you'd expect in solo play. Okay, and I suppose just to, as a final recap, the generation that we've used these rules as the basis. So we've used the character rules, we've used the world generation rules, I've used the patron rules modified, the encounter rules modified, and it's all been random so far, and I've had to interpret these situations, and all the information that we've gathered together with my, I suppose, endless ramblings on about different situations or interactions, and using my little pawns to talk. We have teased out quite a lot of information about this world just now, and I think what I want to try to do is just to show you how I'm thinking about bringing it all together and using every piece of that information as part of a jigsaw that we can kind of put together and come up with a satisfying story that we can play through. We can do all the detailed stuff, we can do all the combat, the spaceship stuff, and the idea of this adventure arc is that it will include everything in it. It will have personal combat, it will have travel, it will have economics, starship stuff, potentially animal encounters. Probably, undoubtedly, it will have animal encounters. We'll be dabbling with all the different equipment. It might have psionics, everything. And I'll be able to tease them out in an overall story arc, which will be great. So that is the plan. Now let's down to some of the mechanics of how we get there. My next sheet is I have taken I've taken this worksheet here, and I have put it into a more robust form, where I have got it into little, and I've got places that I can scribble in some notes in my own handwriting. So we've got this patron, he's called Jakov Zappel, Now, he's called a terrorist. I'm saying he is actually an environmentalist who has turned eco-warrior and is in charge of a band of agitators and fanatics who are committed to Taro environmental causes. So they've really gone completely right up to 10 on the scale of environmental, this, kind of Greenpeace off the chart type thing. They'll sit down in roads, they'll do also, and they've really gone quite crazy in it. They're quite aggressive and violent in some of their application of these fanatical activist type activities. And Jakev himself, he's male, he's in his 50s. His experience we defined was green. Now, the way I've interpreted that is I'm saying he is a tall, refined looking gentleman with piercing eyes and an eccentric manner. His green, air quotes, experience in life relates to a highly privileged upbringing where he has never needed to assume responsibilities and followed his environmentalist fanaticism. He recently inherited a great deal from his family estate and decided to back up his activism with funding. So he is a chap that has been basically a silver spoon in his mouth. He's been able to just do whatever he wants. He has a passion for the environment. Now he has the funding because he has inherited the family's wealth. So lucky old Jakev. He's had a life of plenty. He's probably never really faced up to reality. He's kind of in his own bubble. He's probably a bit of an echo chamber with these agitators and fanatics that probably kind of worship him as a kind of leader. The mission overview, I'm saying, and this comes to the central core, and this is the way I've interpreted these items. So that was my target from last episode. I said I'd go away and I'd come up with basically a bit of a game plan to say. Now, my journey isn't finished because I hadn't completed all the actual features of the mission. I'd done some of the parameters like the difficulty and the risk and whatever, but I had this thing where I was going to look at what sort of skills we would cover. And I've also added another item called themes, which might be quite interesting just to cover some of the aspects of the Traveller role-playing game that we're going to bring into this mission. So the mission overview is that he recently came by a dossier that had been lifted by a member of his group during a raid on corporate buildings on the outskirts of the urban area. The building targeted housed a shadow corporation called PURR, or PUR, pertaining to represent the exploitation of fur products and pelts from Taro's feline predators. Now, Taro has this predator from feline, a kind of long snake-like feline, very aggressive but amazing fur, and unfortunately, if you're a bit against type of fur products, they are exploiting their pelts, and they have rather ironically called themselves PUR. I'm trying to think of what it stands for. I'd have to have a wee. I just thought that was quite a good name to have. So that is a cover, and they didn't realize that they were doing their agitation. They're banging on the gates and stuff, and they managed to break in, but they took a dossier that they should not have been able to see, and they should not have been on the premises. So someone has made a bit of a slip up in the Taro Corporation's hierarchy. Now, the discovery. The dossier is highly redacted, but has some intact information alluding to a clandestine operation, codenamed Blade, to smuggle Python technology. Now, Python, if you recall, is the Python division. It's a subdivision. It's a clandestine part of the Taro Corporation. It does all sorts of strange stuff with cybernetics and basically banned technologies. There has been talk of it being involved with its weapons subdivision in Spectre research. So yeah. So they've found the clandestine operation to smuggle Python technology off-world into orbit for rendezvous with unmarked corporation transports. Ooh. So that's me getting in my orbit stuff. So I had a bit of on the mission, survey a planet, target an orbit, criminal gang. Now I was thinking, how am I going to fit them into this mission? So, survey a planet. I've got these down as elements. One of the in-system planets, so that's inside the Taro system that is not habited, is using experimental labor units on a system world, and that is probably going to be a later discovery further down the line. So we're just going to hold that and use it later on. And I see the arc developing from planet to out into space, but we're not going to go into space immediately. That's going to be much later, further down the line. The orbital factor, I'm envisioning a space station, which is used for research, the weapons division, and xeno development. So this sounds a bit horrific, but there is going to be some form of orbital thing, and that's probably linked to the fact that they have these clandestine operations where we're smuggling technology off-world into orbit, and it's being rendezvousing with these unmarked corporation transports. So it's all sounding very, very clandestine, very under the radar. Something terrible is happening. And the criminal gang, well, I thought I would have basically a bit of a wild card in this. And I've got a criminal syndicate which is looking to muscle in on the action. Now, they might not be quite aware just how enormous this thing is, and they have got just a view thinking, yeah, I think we can just kind of muscle in on this and see if we can get a piece of their pie. So they're maybe they are basically chewing off more than they can, biting off more than they can chew. But let's see how that transpires. And this is really just a recap on the Imperium. So that is basically how I've translated this piece of paper, and I've summarized it in here, and I've got rooms for all my notes. And the next stage I did after that was I wanted to see what the impact would be on our existing adventure threads. Now, these are the adventure points that I've already listed based on our exploration of Taro, my big folder where we have done things like we've got the subsector, we've got all the characters worked out, and then I did the IS Form 2 world profile, and I've got all these things called adventure points classified, you remember, and based on all the things that we were doing with the world design and all these notes I was taking as I went through, basically making inferences from the statistics and the values that I was being generated, and just basically coming up with ideas. I have now summarized all those points, plus with the addition of the situations that we had, so all the individual interactions we had in the Dragon Hotel over a series of an evening, and also some of our recent patron searching encounters that we had, things like the protest, that type of thing, the imperial dignitary, that type of stuff. So I've brought all them in, and I've tried to rate what their chance of having a connection to this mission is. Now, you will recall one of our first situations was the meeting with Wagner Castellon, who was the charismatic politician, and he was doing an off-worlder recruitment initiative. So the motivations of Wagner Castellon and the ongoing undercover press investigation. Now that is an interesting thread, and what I've said is, yes, is there a mission connection? Yes, there is. Yes, this is an element and involves the recruitment of individuals who can perform specialist skills and functions. So Wagner is trying to recruit individuals, specifically off-worlders, who have the necessary skills that he is interested in. What is he interested in? But he is linked to this mission and the clandestine operation of Python. And then we have political intrigue, and that seems to be pretty rife on Tarot. And this is the factional conflict, the succession crisis, the challenge by an anti-tech ideology, and then, of course, the free faction struggle and discord. So that's all these kind of space hippie types that have the robots, and they're basically into a hedonistic lifestyle. But they are a kind of an oppressed minority. Maybe they're getting a bit kind of restive. And I'm saying the connection to the mission, all of these things are influenced by this. So I am going to have impacts, maybe not as direct, but these will be feeding into the mission. Or maybe one of the episodes in one of the episodes in the succession of episodes that we're going to create in our story arc. And then we have our absolute central one, the Python Division conspiracy. Is involved in clandestine activities and espionage, and the Spectre development and the weapons division. Whoa, we're going to have an absolute field day with that. You think of Alien, think of that type of stuff. They should not really be doing this with these Spectres. The Spectres sound bad enough already, but to genetically modify them, come on. And I'm saying that this is central to my mission. The next one I have on stocks is the populist agitation and public demonstration. Now that was the one where we were swept up in the agitation that was going on, and we were pushed against the starport barrier and caught on closed circuit television. The law enforcement came around and gave us a bit of a scolding for being involved. I think we managed to give them quite a good alibi, but they might be back. And I'm saying there's a development of a populist agitation against off-worlders and their nepotism, and an identification of shadowy forces behind this. And this is linked, but I don't know how it's linked just now. I'm just saying it's linked to our mission. Next on the stocks, Crystal Artwork Enterprise. So this is our humorous avant-garde imperial dignitary, Rents Griffin. He's fronting a legal venture with a secret entrepreneur backer who has not been, is in the shadows just now. Potential clandestine operation, Imperial monitoring, that's going on. So that was the bit where I'm saying the Imperium are onto something. They think, we're not really quite sure about this. It just doesn't look quite right. So they're getting involved in that, and I'm saying that he has actually become a pawn in this terrible conspiracy that's going on. Maybe he doesn't quite realize that he's been landed in it, and he is just an innocent, not so innocent pawn, and this is central to the mission. So that's going to be a big part of it. The crystals will make their appearance once again. Economic opportunities. Crystal mining and conflict over resources, the polymer trade, maritime extraction and piracy, and smuggling activities. I'm saying that that's probably not really nothing specific with our mission. Maybe there's going to be a smuggling interface, something to do with that, but nothing direct on the economic side. The Tarot exploration, wilderness exploration and hunting. I'm going to link that with scenario design as features in adventure sessions. So we probably will get out into the wilderness, and I'm going to have that as part of one of the scenarios, one of the sessions, if not 2 or 3, potentially. There's nothing like a bit of hunting and get out in the wilderness, and we'll get our characters doing all that good stuff out there. Deep sea surveying, I'm saying none, probably not. But who knows, there might be a divergence. It doesn't have to be set in stone. Lost colonies or ruins, where everybody's going, yes. And I'm saying yes, but not directly. So we're going to have the ruins, the alien ruins, or maybe lost colony ruins. Some other mission that came here. It's got ruins. But yeah, that has to feature. Always got to have that. That could appear anywhere. It could appear on Taro itself, or this mysterious other planet that we are going to bring into the equation in the planetary system. And finally, and not least, the Spectre threat. And the Spectre threat encounters and nest purging. Yes, with wilderness adventuring. So we're probably going to have a bit of raw Spectre action at some stage. Just brace yourself for that. So that is the connection to the mission for existing adventure threads that I have teased out and summarized on my, and I'll keep a control of those, and obviously if we have any more threads added, I'll add them to it. But what I'm trying to do with this exercise, I'm trying to basically formulate an episodic view of what our mission is going to be, and I can present that as almost like chunks that would say, well, probably in the next couple of sessions we're going to be doing A, and then thereafter we'll be doing B and C and D and E and etc. The NPCs that we have come across also are going to be brought into action, and every NPC that we have encountered will have a role to play. So they're all quite interesting. There are a few that we haven't actually directly come across yet, but I have named them as NPCs of significance, and that's all Valerius Thorn. He's the fanatical traditionalist, waxing influence in the Senate, an ultra anti-tech ideology, a Tarosian traditionalist. Now he is a senator. He's got a lot of influence. He's going to appear in this conspiracy. In fact, there's his little designation over there. Senator. Lyra Val, she's an agent, an undercover ISS agent posing as a scout administrator. She's an imperial idealist. She's going to get stuck into this. She has a role to play. We just haven't met her yet. Alistair Vance, he's called the Technician. He is a director of the Python division, their R&D section. He's a ruthless pragmatist. He's pushing ethical boundaries. What terrible things has he done? We are going to discover. He sounds like a character that is you either we don't really want to meet him directly, maybe indirectly, but maybe he is an individual to avoid in direct confrontation. But maybe at some point we are going to have to come across his path. Wagner Castellon, he was our politician. He's trying to do the recruitment of off-worlders, and he has possible links to the traditional party and Valerius Thorn, and we may get into contact, he may get in contact with us, and he's left his contact details. So there is a chance that we hook up with him again, and remember he's trying to get all the off-worlders. And then there's Chris Avant, the reporter, and she's after a deep cover story about Castellon, and she asked the PCs for follow-up information, so we're going to get involved in that. Rhea Askvig, Imperial Navy Elite Forces, and she was actually looking to hire the characters with a potential recruitment, so that'll be interesting to see what her story is and how she fits in, and maybe she's thinking of an angle to infiltrate this conspiracy that they're uncovering. Let's see how that happens. Rens Griffin, our poor Imperial dignitary, he's invited to Taro to represent and front an artwork venture. He thinks that is the case. Maybe he's the fall guy in this. We'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, we've got good old Clemon, trustworthy, dependable contact. He's our concierge. And Hansen, we've got a positive relationship with Hansen. He's our touchstone. He's our bartender. We've got some good allies back in the Dragon Hotel. Right. What I do now is I am going to try to finish off the adventure, the mission design, and I'm going to introduce this mission contents and features element, which I alluded to last time, where I bring in the actual, just the basic skills and the types of themes that might appear as part of this storyline arc. Now, to frame the mission in terms of features that it will cover and the types of mini-game situations that can be modelled and combined under the overall framework, we're going to use this table to establish the points where the characters might be expected to employ the relevant skills, and then extract ideas about the various skill combinations to generate interesting themes to support where to place them in the adventure. So I have all these skills that I have charted out, all the traveller skills that we have in the book, and also I have to further define a mission's themes and the activities they might cover and include. Use this table to weave in some interesting dimensions and plot twists and tangents. So these cover things like, I've got things like wilderness, anomaly, exile, aliens, words that kind of just conjure up something that we can weave in. And the idea is that once all the data points have been noted, so that's data points from here and data points from here, we try to organize them or place them randomly into a rough timeline or sequence. Designate each as a core to the mission, 1 to 3, minor 4 to 5, or divergent 6. So we're going to do a selection of these, we're going to do a selection of these, and then we're going to decide whether they are core to the mission, minor, or divergent. And I'm always reminded of, because we're basically going to get like all these basic, almost like little phrases or names or whatever. Now, I'm reminded of how David Bowie used to write his lyrics, and he had a technique where he basically took phrases, just things that came, he read or something like that, and he thought, well, that's an interesting phrase, and he would jot them all down on a piece of paper, and he would just jumble them all up and put them together and stuff like that. So, sailors dancing, fighting on the dance floor, that type of thing. And then in the end you'd get Life on Mars type thing with all this interesting lyrics. Now it's almost like a kind of Bowie-esque kind of let's get all these elements together and then put them together in interesting combinations. So we're going to do our Life on Mars for Traveller. Let's find out what is on our dance floor tonight. So I'll get my book. And this, what we'll do is we'll do this and then I'll have all the raw ingredients to put into the pot, the adventure pot, the mission arc pot, and come up and stir it up and then come back with a nice, basically like the storyline to a film that we can go through. The interesting thing about this film is that we'll have divergences and you have your kind of make-up sessions, but it's got that overall kind of thematic feel to it. On the skills first, we roll 3 + 1d3 for a standard mission and 4 + 1d6 for more extensive tasks. Now I'm going to say that it's going to be a more extensive thing because I'm planning to go the full hog on this and make it like a mini campaign. And say that this is going to be a big tarot experience for us. So it's going to be 4 + 1d6 on this table. So let's get our d6 out. 4 + 1d6 for the skills that we're going to have. So we're going to have 6 skills present. So I'll put skill. And we've got our mission. I'll call it mission 1. On the basis that we're going to have more missions, but I think this is going to take up a lot of time, and I can see almost like 30 to 40 episodes stretching before me. First we're going to have the black dice as the horizontal and the red dice as the vertical. So what we're going to have first as our first skill that will be a big part, or maybe not so big a part, of this mission. So horizontal is 2 and vertical is 2. So administration, we're lucky because we've got a lot of administration skills. So this looks like it's going to elements of bureaucracy, and we're going to have to deal with, and this is how you read into these skills. You look at, see, well, how would administration be used in Traveller? And I always think of a bureaucratic organization, and you've got to try and be able to navigate that, and administration gives you the ability to do that. So what's our second skill? We have 6 on the row and 1 on the column. Oh, I have made a mistake because it's not a simple D6, it's a D8. Oh, silly me. Sorry about that. It should have been a D8. Well, we'll still go for administration for the first one and just say that. So that should be 1. Let's do it again with this. Sorry about that. It just got a bit carried away. 6 and 6. Now that's where the old D8 comes in. I had to use D8 to get all the skills in. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get them all. That was my excuse. So 6 and 6. So 0G. Okay. Well, that's say no more. Okay, our third skill. 8 and 4. So 4 and 8. All right, so Vaxsuit. So we're really getting out into space. Everybody's going, yes. Brian's going to take us up into orbit with this one. Fourth skill. We have a 6 and a 3. 6 and 3 is medical. So very big expected. Maybe we have to use medical skill, or maybe we're going to be the receivers of medical. Who knows? Let's see how that works out. We're our fifth skill. We have a 7 and a 6, so it's 7 and 6. Another medical. So I'll have to roll again because we're not going to have that twice. So 7 and 2. So 7 vehicle. Okay. So there's going to be a vehicle use at some stage. Or maybe vehicles will be an important part of the mission. We'll have to try and work out what all that's all about. And then finally 4 and 4. So 4 and 4 is streetwise. Okay, so maybe that's getting into the underworld, circumventing convention, finding out what the underbelly of tarot is all about. So maybe that's the area that Clement said, don't go there. I don't recommend you go there. Looks as though we're going to have an element of that. It also could have something to do with the criminal gang too. I'm just thinking underworld terms. Okay, so that's the skills. We'll come back and do the level that they're going to be to the mission. We'll get cracking on the themes as well. So we're going to roll 2 plus 1d3 for the themes. So let's have 2 plus 1d3. So it's we're going to have 5 themes. So I'm just going to put them here. I have themes. So I've got my skills, I've got my themes, I've got mission 1. What are we going to have? And again, I've got a D8 and a D6. So I'm making note this time. We have 4 and 6. So 6 and a 4. Patronage. Okay. So patronage means that you receive some form of support from someone, or maybe you are looking for some form. Patronage is going to be an element of this. Yeah, that'll be interesting to weave in. Second one is 3 plus, so 4 plus 3. Dangerous environment. Okay, dangerous environment. It sounds as though everything in this mission has got something with a dangerous environment in it. It just depends what your definition of danger is. Seems like we are courting danger on this. Third one is a 2 and a 4. So 4 in the column and a 2. Political. Yes. Well, we know that's going to happen. Political. So, and this might be some direct political stuff, and we'll just see how much of an impact we're rating that's going to be. And then we've got 7 and 2, so 2 And 7, crater. Yeah. Is it going to be like a base on a moon or something? A crater? Maybe it's a secret base. Maybe the alien relic ruins in the crater. Yep, the old mind's starting to race there. And the last one, 2 and 2, 2 and 1, 1 and 2, starport. Okay, so starport is going to be a big feature. Now these are just, as I say, designed. They might not. They're really just to kind of give us a bit of a flavour and a bit of almost like saying that here's a bit of focus to what the mission's all about. If you can come up with some neat ideas from that, they don't have to determine everything about the mission. But as I'm saying, I'm just using them as a bit of a guideline for me to kind of spark my imagination and potentially give me a bit of structure, and also say, well, I'm expecting the characters to be able to display these skills at some stage. These are going to be quite an important part of the mission. And then things like here, these are going to have influences. Let's find out exactly how core these things are. So we'll get the red dice. And I have this little scale that I've got. They're core to the mission, 1 to 3, minor 4 to 5, and divergent 6. So by divergent means it takes us off on a tangent, or maybe they are off on a tangent. They're not central to the mission. So administration. Let's see what that is. That's divergent. So that's a 6. We'll put a D. So already the bureaucracy is making us head off into another direction. Let's see what that does. We've got a 4 on 0G, which is minor. So we've got 4. So that's a minor. So I can just put M for that, actually. We don't have major, we've got core. Vaxid is core. So we're expecting that to be a big part of the thing. And that's a 3 up it. 3C. Medical is core. Medical's 3, core. So medical is going to be a big part of this. Vehicle is 2. So vehicle is going to be a big part. 2, core. And streetwise, how important streetwise is going to be? That's a 5, so that's minor. So maybe we're not going to be so involved in the underworld, or that's not going to be a central plank of the overall mission. Okay, so that's the skills done. Let's do the themes, and on a similar basis. So patronage, how big a deal is this? Yep, patronage is core. It's a core theme. Dangerous environment is a 3. It's a core theme. Yeah, that's gonna adventure radar starts to bleep. We've got a 2. Political is core, so they're all important. These they're gonna feature prominently. The crater is a minor, so maybe that's just a distraction slightly. But the crater will appear. It'll be interesting to see what's in the crater. Maybe the crater will just be like a wee bit of a red herring. That type of stuff. We can build that in. And starport is core. So yeah. So I would say we've got a divergent on admin. We've got 2 minors on skills, but 3 core skills. We've got 4 core themes running in this mission. So what I was saying was I will take that information and I will put it into an overall framework. I will replay it back to you, and then we'll actually have our interaction with this chap. So he is currently just to put ourselves back in the situation. Let's get my original sheet. We were in the starport facilities. We had he'd overheard us. We were in the Starship docking bay specifically. It's a noisy area. We were shouting. Some of the people saying, "Hey, you know anywhere where we can get a job here? Where can I go? Has it got an office?" We're really shouting over the din. and he, for some reason, he is skulking around here. What is he doing here? Maybe he's already going for a meeting. Maybe he has an office or something. Who knows? Why he is in this place. Potentially, he is even hiding from someone. He's looking for a noisy area. But he heads over to our characters and speaks to us. And he will introduce himself at the start of the next episode, and we will have a fleshed out initial, because what I need to do is get the initial pitch that this patron's going to do, and I don't need the entire mission fleshed out. I'm using that for my own purposes as the solo player, so that I have a kind of map, a roadmap ahead of me that I can utilize. But I do need an opening gambit from this chap. I need to cost out what his offer is. And this is probably just going to be quite a limited prospectus that he's going to present to us. It's not going to take in the overarching, the magnitude of this. He doesn't even know it himself. And he's a kind of almost like potentially an innocent bystander in this. He's come across this information. He doesn't know the significance of it. Maybe that's what he wants us to do, find out what that's all about. Okay, well, I thought that was, hopefully that was an interesting session. And what it hopefully does is it demonstrates the fact that I'm recycling everything that I create and do, and I think about. Everything that I've put into my nice purple folder. I should have really got to try and get a black one, but I didn't have a glossy one. I think the purple one's quite nice. And I've got all my information here about tarot and just all the things that we've done and all that. And I am starting to recycle that back into the game. All the NPCs are being used, all the situations we've had. Hopefully they're all going to make a nice star appearance at some stage and have relevance. Okay, I think I've probably my job here is done for the time being. Hopefully I haven't been too overwhelmed, and you had to do an immediate recall and all. I was going, Brian, what are you on about with all these Valerius Thorn? You mentioned him in episode 2 or something, and you're expecting us to go back to the video, whatever it is, and try and find out who he is. But hopefully you do kind of remember some of these things. I've jogged your memory, and you can see that it's all been useful exercise. They're all going to feature prominently. They're all interesting. I find them all quite interesting individuals that we can utilize. And again, it's all been kind of randomly generated, and I've interpreted the rules as written as much as possible. And now we're really going to kind of shape it a bit more to what we really want to get out of our solo campaign, with all these elements and ingredients. And they're going to kind of bubble away, but they will create interesting flavors and textures and whatever. We'll be doing a bit of the chef rather than just a cook, and we're really going to try and be a bit cordon bleu about all this and generate some, a perfect souffle, and not some flat pancake type thing that you don't really want. So I think I'm wavering too much on the analogies to do with cooking, but basically I want to try and get a great campaign that we all enjoy and brings in all the elements that we have been working at just now. Okay, I think I've talked enough. I am going to finish and sign off just now. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and we will be starting adventuring from the off next episode. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.